Well, hello and welcome to GCA Studios, brought to you by Game Change Agency. My name is Jay Taylor and I'll be your host. My guest today is Jim DeLoach, who's Managing Director with Protiviti. Protiviti is a global consulting firm that delivers deep expertise and objective insights to help leaders more confidently address uncertainty and face the future. Jim has more than 35 years of experience and is focused on helping organizations succeed in their responses to things like shareholder demands, government mandates, and a rapidly changing business environment. Jim earned his MBA from the University of North Texas and is a certified public accountant. He's authored several books and hundreds of articles covering topics such as risk management, compliance, internal audit, Sarbanes-Oxley, and many other topics. He's regularly sought out for his thought leadership and recently served on the advisory council for the COSO Enterprise Risk Management Project, which was published last year by the Committee of Sponsoring Organizations. Jim was recently named to the Directorship 100 list by the National Association of Corporate Directors. This is an annual, prestigious recognition of the most influential people in the boardroom community. Amazingly, this is the 6th year that Jim's been selected for this honor. So Jim, welcome to GCA Studios. Let's start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you became involved in creating this thought leadership around risk management and its linkage to business performance.
Well, thank you, Jay, for having me. It's good to see you again. My journey, Jay, started 25 years ago. I was a partner with Anderson. I'd been doing a lot of different things, and I was given a task to address the role of business controls in the age of corporate reengineering and continuous improvement. And kind of a little backdrop, this was in the early 90s, and there was a lot of buzz around the relevance or irrelevance of internal control. And that may be a hard thing for people today to understand. But to give you some background, there was the total quality management movement in the 80s, which was the response of companies in the United States and Europe in addressing the Japanese competitors who were able to produce high quality products at competitive prices. They had to do something. And so there was a lot of emphasis on building quality into processes, and as opposed to inspecting it in, which was a high cost, driving the high cost of processes. And then there was the corporate reengineering buzz that was starting at the turn of that decade. And Hammer had just written his book, had a seminal article in the Harvard Business Review. And if you read Hammer's book and looked up where he talked about internal control, it was in one place. And basically he said control should be deferred. I attended conferences where people would say, I wish we could figure out another word for control. We should be controlling people or controlling anything. We should be empowering people. I understood it was well-intentioned, but it was a very confusing buzz about internal control. And therefore, I was given this task. Another thing is that COSO had just published its internal control integrated framework. That was the 1992 version. It just came out. And there was a lot of confusion around what it was intended for. Some people called it a solution in search of a problem. So that was the issue and the challenge. And so as I studied the problem, I realized it needed an edge, and the edge was risk. And so we created a comprehensive risk language. We called it the business risk model. I got the idea from the Federal Reserve, and from J.P. Morgan. They had a language of about 6 to 7 risks. And I was thinking, what if we created a common risk language that we could apply and tailor to different industries? And so we did that, and that led to a book that I published in the mid-90s, an integrated approach to business risk management. And the idea was to move from a silo, fragmented approach to a more integrated approach. And there were 3 basic message points: a common risk language, an effective risk oversight structure, and a process view around identifying sourcing, measuring, evaluating, managing, and monitoring risk. And so that was where we were in the mid-90s. I didn't feel comfortable that we were quite where we needed to be because there was still a high detail orientation around financial, operational, and compliance risk. And so it needed to have an elevation to more of a strategic level. And so I interviewed over 100 executives in North America and in Europe. And based on that and the work we were doing at Anderson, wrote a book called Enterprise-Wide Risk Management, Linking Risk and Opportunity, Strategies for Linking Risk and Opportunity. And that kind of where my journey started, and it led me to where, over the last 15 years, to focus on elevating the line of sight for risk management to a strategic level with emphasis on integrating risk with strategy and performance.